I started with the live, and it
Okay.
feels amazing to me. I heard, like, I know people are not excited about that machine. To me, it
Yeah.
feels great. They are amazing. The pads are amazing.
Yeah,
Fucking
no,
amazing.
no, they're very dope, bro. And it's like the I love how tacky they feel. Just I love like
Mm,
once you start learning how much finger you have to put into it to make it do what you need to
mm,
do,
mm,
it gets beautiful. Now, like what I would like to see MPC do, like an update, right? Is like some sort of aftertouch type of thing, right?
It does.
It,
MPC Live has an aftertouch
it has an
on the pad.
aftertouch. Okay, so explain this to me. So, like, what I'm thinking in my mind, right, is three samples for an aftertouch, right? Three
Hmm.
samples. So you have a snare hit lightly, a
Hmm.
snare hit dug in, and then a snare hit full flam,
Right.
full steam. And I would get a different one variation of those samples with the amount of pressure that I put.
Right. That's actually triggering. It does the live does it. It
Okay,
sets
cool.
you on the velocity. It basically
Ah,
velocity
yeah,
based.
yeah. That's what I'm looking for. Like, yeah, exactly. So if we have a wave, and the a cool way to would do it just in my mind, I'm always kind of thinking of
Hmm.
workarounds. Like if you could get the attack, the start point of the sample to change based on the velocity in which you hit it.
Hmm.
So if I hit it light,
Hmm.
it doesn't
Hmm.
capture the whole attack. It would
Hmm.
start later in the sample and give me more of the release. That would be dope.
I think that's possible. I need to double check because there is an offset setting as well, and
Yeah,
you can map it to something. If it's
yeah,
velocity, that would be dope because that's the offset. You just skip a little bit
yeah, yeah, yeah. Skip a
of
little
the
bit of the
attack.
start point. Of the start point. Yeah.
And there is modulation for velocity actually, which can do the trick, right? If you bind the if you modulate the attack on the envelope. So exactly, you can
Yeah.
modulate envelope with velocity,
Ah, so
amplification, and
that's
two
it.
other things.
That's it right there. Then
LFO.
that's it right there to modulate it with the velocity. You
Hmm.
feel me? And just like to
Yeah.
map it out the right way. So if I hit it lightly, it starts to sample later.
Hmm.
If I hit it at 127, is it still 127 velocity? Is that still the
Yes,
highest?
yes. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah, that's the number.
yeah.
I still remember. Yeah, so if I hit it at 127, then it starts and gives me full attack.
Hmm.
That would be cool just to make a drum set feel very live, a drum
Hmm.
kit.
Hmm.
You know, I'm imagining
Definitely.
like with rim shots, it would make a big difference with rim shots,
Hmm.
you know,
Absolutely. It
snares, rim
is
shots.
possible. It is possible. It's actually you can do so much with the with that machine
That's why these
that
talks are good, bro.
I never dug into it, to be honest, because
Dig, man, no
I
dig,
learned to
bro.
achieve what I need
Yeah,
faster.
yo, man. You know what? I did that with the MPC, and it's like when I got the Octatrack, it was like, yo, it was like I started doing a lot of things for the first time.
Hmm.
That makes any sense?
Hmm.
When I was kind of in the MPC world,
Relearning.
it's like I I I I achieved the heights of what I knew I already know how to do. But when I got on the Octatrack, I started doing a lot of things for the very first time. Just like maybe just because visually I never worked on a box that was a step sequencer that looked like that. So it's like if you ever guys ever see anything that looks like that, like a Korg Electribe, um, what's the other one that Dilla did J-Lib on? It's the Korg one that has it has a tube in it. It's a
It is well,
oh
Electripes have a tube in it.
yeah, that's probably it. That's probably
What's
it.
the other one?
What's the
I don't
other
know
one?
what other one.
Korg step sequencer slash sampler. Haha. Okay, okay. We got the vocal sample, of course. Yeah, it's probably Electron. Yeah, but that's what Dilla did J-Lib on. Yeah, he did on the Korg Electron.
Fuck.
And if you listen to the beats that Dilla did on J-Lib, they sound way more techy and way more electro than all his other production. So you know, on J-Lib, Madlib rapped on JD's beats, and JD rapped on Madlib's beats.
Mhm.
So all the beats that Madlib rapped on, if you start listening to them, they sound hella glitchy. He's doing like step sequencer parameter lock tricks.
Shit, I need to listen to that
Yeah, and
record
you'll
with
hear
this
it.
information.
You'll hear it. And you know what?
Interesting.
You know that style also reminds me a lot of the cats on the West Coast, like the Shafiq Husseins and the Saras, that kind of go into like the futurism boom bap glitch type space.
Wait,
You
who
know,
is this? Who is it again?
check out this guy named Shafiq Hussein. He was part of a collective called Sarah.
Sarah's dope. Sorry, Bear.
I mean, Sun Ra, I
Not
know. I
Sunrise.
just
Yeah, not Sunrise. I'll put up a chat. I
Oh,
don't know
my
how to.
bad.
I don't know how to do anything in here.
Drop it in the link.
But
it's
yeah. Send them a link to some Sarah stuff, real quick. How do you start a chat? Yo, bro, I'm so dumb when it comes to this.
There's a button at the bottom.
It's a button at the bottom. Okay, Bob, chat. Here we go. All right. So I'll put you onto some of this stuff.
Oh, good.
Yeah, man, Shafiq Hussein. And he has some crazy stuff. You know, Will is familiar, but yeah, man, it's really crazy crossover between like funk, electronic, and hip hop, and it's wild, man. And they've been doing it since the early 2000s. You feel me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, call it new pop. It's like LA new pop since they're out in LA and shit.
Yes, yeah.
I need to check this out.
Yeah, man.
Okay,
So,
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, and Thundercat is in the video, a young Thundercat without any hair. It's like the first scene of the video. Yeah, but so I just started really getting inspired by, like, I grew up listening to just East Coast hip hop, bro. Just East Coast. Like, I was diehard. It was a religion. You hear me? The East Coast hip hop, the boom bap was a religion. You know? And then it's like, as I got older, I just started trying new things. And it's like, once I started peeping like what the cats on the West Coast was doing, what the Southern cats where I was, you know, like kind of the culture I've been running from the whole while, started listening to what was actually around me. And it's like all the 808s and all the 909s, just like that electron, it's always been there. And it's like, yo, that's that step sequencer feel. And that's what pushed me in that direction. Like, even when you think about the Planet Rocks and all, like, even like the Miami bass, like the Uncle Luke, it's all steps. It's, yeah.
Well, ARPs, you can like
Yeah, the ARPs.
One of the tools that makes step sequencing just irreplaceable to me is
the arpeggios.
Arpeggios. It's like I love them.
Yo, it'll just
playing them is a nightmare.
Playing them was a total nightmare. Plugging them in by hand is a total nightmare. So like also, you know, I'm not the best keyboard player in the world. So it's like just having the ability, like, I don't know, you know, MPCs are step sequencers too. You can step sequence in MPC just as well. But it's like, just, okay, if you've only ever seen people paint with a paintbrush one way, it's like you feel inclined to approach it in the same way you've seen it used. Right. So it's like, so my 2500 had this step sequence. Like I'm talking like the Octatrack had something that the MPC didn't. The MPC had the same thing. It's just I was never inclined to use it that way. You know, I was just never inclined to use it that way. I was just kind of like inclined to do certain, you know, ritualistic type of moves. You know, especially when it comes to the sampling hip hop aspect of it. Like, you know, it's a ritual. Like you go to the record store, you come back to the house, you put on the vinyl and the platter. You know, it gets to be like a thing that I feel is like more of a physical motion than like a mental motion.
Interesting.
You know, it gets physically.
But it gets you into the mental state, isn't it? Like this all contributes to the zone.
It does. All like, because I still have to listen to music before I make music. Like I really can't just like jump into making music. I'm a person, like, I listen to music for almost an hour to 2 hours before I make music.
Interesting.
Yeah, like
that's an interesting point.
I'm real scatterbrained. So on the last tutorial, and listen, they have some limit on here where this think it only go for 40 minutes for free. Once it disconnects, I'll start another one and drop the link back in the joint if you guys want to continue. All right. But so on my last tutorial, I was talking, I touched on a point, but really didn't flesh it out all the way. My process is a 3-day process now. So the first day, I'm really just collecting data about like what type of beat I want to make. I'm getting inspired by stuff. What direction do I want to go? And then I start game planning, right? So before I make a flip, I might pick out the acapella 2 days before I even think about a beat. Like, yeah, I need to flip this acapella. This is a smooth acapella. I like the original and I like the acapella. So the way I've been approaching it is I approach it more like a cover instead of a straight flip now. So I'm like I wanna learn the original. How was the original played? So I started using this app called Chordify that is an AI that'll just spit out the chords.
That video was really nice. And,
yeah,
and that worked. Like I could understand what you were saying there.
Yeah. So it's like, so that's what I'll do before I even turn a drum machine or a sampler on. I'm doing that the day before. Then the next day, day 2, is when I start, like, I have the chords up on Chordify on the computer in front of me. The acapella's downloaded. It's in Ableton, already time stretched to whatever it needs to be. Like, so I work with the recording session, the DAW session open. Even though I'm not touching the DAW, I work with it open just because I might use a VST or I might have an acapella already sitting in the DAW, you know, so I work with it open and we're all connected. Everything is MIDI linked, you know, so the time, you know. The video he's talking about is the high,
the latest Patreon video.
The latest Patreon video, the hybrid. That is the hybrid one. Oh no, it's the process one. It's the mini tutorial I did. It's the last one, bro. But yeah, so that's when I'll get it. And since I'm not the best keyboard player, I'll plug in those chords individually. You know, I'll like, basically I won't play the whole line out how it sounds, but
when you said like you would run it through, where do you into the Octatrack?
Yeah. So
as
what
MIDI.
it is, so as MIDI, it's because I have the VST in the computer playing it. So so I'm using my actual keyboard to just like play the keys into the Octatrack. The Octatrack records those MIDI notes.
Gotcha.
And the Octatrack gets the computer to play it back.
Right.
All right. Right. So but what I'm saying is that, like, you know, we have the pattern going, click, 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 click. I'm not playing this stuff as fast as you hear it. I'm playing it like an old man. I'm like, one chord, okay, I got that chord in. Now look at the screen to see the next diagram. Second chord. So it's like I'll plug in. Yeah, so I'll plug in like 8 of those chords, and it's now like either now I'm at a crossroads here. Either I can keep the progression the same way it appears in the song, or I can start reorganizing these chords and trying to keep the structure the same, but change elements and make it my own. Right. So that's day 2. I wrap the beat up. It's recorded. Everything's in the computer. Day 3 is totally dedicated to just mixing and mastering.
Wow. Okay.
All right. So it's like I've
mixing and wait, recording, mixing and mastering, or just mixing and mastering?
Just mixing and mastering.
Gotcha. So the second day is playing in and
recording in. And the only thing I might do at the end of the second day is I might do a light mix, meaning just like setting all the levels, just so I don't lose the integrity by day 3. When I come back, I have the picture still of what I wanted to happen. All right. Then I jump back in and I end up mixing in so I mix in one session, one Ableton session. I mix everything down, all my individual instruments. I apply what I need to do to each track, right? And I bounce that out, and then I master in another session. My mastering plugins I'm
still in Ableton?
Still in Ableton.
Gotcha.
Just in another session. Now I could bounce all these tracks to one and just do it that way, but I'm sort of a caveman, so I just bounce out of the session, open another session, and start it that way. All right. So because the mastering plugins I use, they take a bit of CPU usage. If I would try to mix and master in the same session, my computer would be crashing out.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
okay.
gotcha.
So and what is created is it's created a sort of accountability. I have to be accountable for my actions in the mix
Mhm,
because I don't want to have to keep on popping back and forth between the mix and the master. So I really
mhm,
need to get the mix right. So what before I leave the mix session, I always put a spectrum analyzer up on the master track, just so I can make sure everything is balanced.
mhm,
All
mhm.
right. Or like
Gotcha, good.
relatively balanced. Like if my kick drum is 10 dBs hotter than the mids and the highs, that's gonna create a problem.
Mhm,
You know, if it's 1 to 2 dBs higher, I could do something about it in the master. But once I print the track to just one stereo track and the kick is 10 dBs higher than my mids, it's going to create a problem. I'm not going to be able to master correctly.
mhm.
So it's like I have to get the mix right for the master to go smoothly.
Do
So it's
you
just,
do you do this with the EQing and leveling? Do you
yeah,
do the
that's what I'm talking about as far as mix.
Mhm,
It's EQing and leveling of each individual track.
mhm,
And like that would be taking if someone is not tracking out, that will be taking place before they record it out.
mhm,
That
mhm.
you have to get it right.
Absolutely.
You have to get it
Yeah.
right, or the master's not going to go right.
Yeah. I'd
So
like
that's
to put a 303 on top of a mix as a reference for like is the mix shitty or not? Because if you put a
yeah,
three like a good aggressive 303
yeah,
compressor on top of everything and
yeah.
it completely destroys it, then the mix is just not right.
That's a
You
good.
have to
That's
go
that.
back and
Yo, no, that's a good
do it
test.
again.
No, that's a no, that no, that's a good test. That is like you have to have some way to like to test it before you throw
Hmm.
it out there.
Hmm.
You have to have some way to like to gauge, you know, what's going on. You
How
feel me,
do you do this just on your monitors or do you go in the car and
man?
listen to this and
I don't even use monitors. I use these Bear Dynamic headphones,
got you.
and they're the Bear
X,
Dynamic
yeah,
990 Pros. They're open back, so it's like they're
I got
perfect.
them as well.
Yeah, they're perfect for that. And they sound you already know how they sound. They're beautiful
Hmm.
sounding.
Hmm.
They're beautiful sounding.
I got this like I switched them up for the Sennheisers, stolen drums.
Okay,
Put me in.
how
You
how
mentioned them.
how you like the
They
Sennheiser?
sound even a little like maybe because I wore the others. I think I broke them. I think I broke my 90s a little
Look,
bit with
look,
the wrong
yo.
mixing.
Next time you catch a pair of headphones, next time you're in the market, right?
Hmm.
What's the name of the Sound Reference ID? Do you use them? Okay. Well, Sound Reference ID. I'm gonna spit this out. Matter of fact, I'm gonna start a new Zoom right now. Okay.
Oh,
Let's go ahead.
got you.
Let's
Yeah,
end
yeah,
this
yeah,
one, and
let's do
I'll
this.
yeah, and I'll start a new one. I'm gonna put it in the chat now. Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay, bye.
Absolutely.
So that's I think that's a really cool option because I live in a condo. There's people below me and people to the side of me. So it's like monitors with like I already got two small kids. Like, you know what I mean? Monitors which is like it's not the move for me right now. So I really learned how to get nice inside of headphones. And it's like I don't think people know that I just mix inside of headphones.
Hmm.
I don't think people can tell.
Yeah, it's not important. I mean, I can't tell. I'm relevant anyway.
You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. I don't think people can really tell.
Do
You
you
know?
mix on monitors, Will?
Yeah, I just upgraded my monitor situation
Okay.
to Yamaha like fives, and I use a PA to do the low ends,
Mm-hmm.
real stuff. And I've tried to build relationships with people that do venue sound to like come through and like test some audio stuff. So yeah, I'm kind of
Yeah, man.
just free.
I need to seriously know. This is probably what I also got the modular shit going too. So it's like I never know what to like. I'm always kind of torn as to what to spend my money on. You know, like
I
because
see.
I want to
Absolutely.
I want a desktop oscilloscope, but I also want a modular oscilloscope too, just like a spectrum readout, so I could just see my waves. Like, so instead of having to throw a spectrum on the master every
I
time,
got you. I got you though. The Korg NTS series has been expanded by an oscilloscope. It's like $100. You know
yeah,
Korg NTS, the
I know
first synth?
the little small synth.
They got an oscilloscope now.
Okay, I
The
need to get it.
second NTS, it's a
Okay.
DIY set again.
Oh
It's
yeah, okay,
amazing.
okay. So yeah, I'll get that then. That bet.
Hmm.
I've been meaning to get. I need an oscilloscope just so it's like because listen, if you produce through an oscilloscope, if you make the beat while you're going through an oscilloscope, like I feel like you'll have way less work when we talk about this mixing phase.
Hmm. Interesting.
It'll
How
be
so?
way
What do
less.
you see in the,
All right, so
you mean
there's
you will account for a phase?
so look, so like with the sound reference ID, I normally only turn it on, right?
Mhm.
When I'm in the mixing phase of the beat. But there
Okay.
have been a couple times where it's like I've produced through it. And it's like the results I got were so good. I kick myself for not remembering to do it every time. It's because like I'm aware that like this kick is too loud. So it's like because you start building, when you build a beat, it's like you're building things in relation to other things.
Right.
So if the kick is overblown and you're getting the bass to meet it, then now your bass is overblown. So
Mhm.
now there's two things to correct when we had to mix.
Okay.
It's like that's what I'm saying. It's like a checks and balance while we're doing.
But you're looking on the height of the wave,
Yeah,
therefore?
yeah. I'm
Okay.
looking at the head of the waveform, and I'm also looking at where like the frequency, like where the waveform is hitting.
Hmm.
Okay, so like a lot of electronic producers, they or mix engineers and producers, they like the bass, the kick, and the snare to all be an octave apart from each other.
What
A,
you
a,
mean?
a frequency octave, a
Mm-hmm.
frequency octave, meaning like a double. So like if the bass is sitting at 60 hertz, right? My kick
The
should be at
kick will be 120,
120. Yeah. Yeah.
and
And the
and the
snare and
snare.
the bottom of the snare will be at 240. Like we should just make sure that the bottom of the snare does not touch 240, or like that's the roll off. So now we're sitting. So now they're the bass, the kick, and the snare are octaves perfectly away from each other. So my sound separation is going to be beautiful when I come to the mix. Yeah, brother, it gets deep. Yeah, this is the Butter Chain
This
Society. Yeah. All right, it gets deep.
amazing. But
It
this
gets
is
deep.
like the most helpful explanation of frequency separation I have
Frequency,
ever
yeah,
heard.
frequency octaves. Yeah, so you know, an
This
octave is just a
is
double.
ridiculous.
You know what I mean? It's just a double. All right. And it's like a lot of people, like with subs, they tend to stay away from certain keys, working in certain keys with subs, just because like they begin to dip out of what the human
Mhm.
ear can perceive.
Right, right,
Right.
right.
So a lot of people like to do subs like in the key of C major and A minor. And those are relative keys. C major, which is all the white notes, and A minor, which is also all the white notes, just starting on A.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so so people like to build bass lines or build songs if they're going to use sub in those keys because they can get lower without dipping out of the perception of the human ear.
Right. Amazing.
Yeah, you could
Great
go.
stuff.
Yeah, man, and then
I
like
love it.
I learned all this stuff from like me diving into dance music and electronic music because like, these are like I'm trying to figure out how to mix and master these types of tracks. You know,
Interesting. That's something that just comes with the area of what, like, would
yeah,
you?
yeah. I think that comes with the genre. It's kind of genre
Interesting.
specific. It's
No,
kind of
I disagree. I come with a personal experience with diving into music. Like, it's like people have tight beats, but
yeah.
you can't relate to someone's personal experience to create a tight beat because you don't have their personal experience. You don't have their family dynamics. You don't have their environmental dynamics.
Yeah,
You
no,
don't have their
I'm not
resource dynamics.
I'm
No,
not necessarily
I'm not disagreeing with you, Lane.
yeah. I'm not necessarily referring to type beats though. I'm referring to like genre rules, like almost not even rules, but just like methodologies. Like in reggae, they have a certain methodology as far as like how they would set up a pedal board for a guitar player. You know, it's a certain methodology to come out on the other end with a sound in this ballpark. You know, and it's, you know, and it's like, you know, the way people mix disco or the way people might mix house, and it's like those branches all relate to each other, because like out of like the dance music, I also feel like this is the same way drill and trap is mixed, with those things in octaves, with your kick, your snare, and your bass. All that separation is what allows us to have those super huge 808s, super huge subs, and still like kicks in between. Like, how do you even do that? It's like it has to be a certain amount of separation.
Super interesting. I just never heard that's what I mean. Like when people in genres talk about certain stuff just more prevalently than like
it's like it's stuff that's talked about more because they deal with those, like they encounter those issues more. Those are like frequently occurring issues for them. You know, it's like my kick drum and my bass are like, because you want the bass extra low. And like what I learned too is that like if you check out the stems like 2 months ago, you'll hear that the bass, the bass filter is way more open. Now it's like I've closed the bass filter off a lot. I've cut off a lot of the bass and I'm keeping my bass really like below like 180 hertz. Like my bass is really sub bass now.
And where do you high pass it? Do you have a high pass?
Oh yeah, I do have a high pass. It's around 28 hertz. It's around 20,
like around the
around. It might be like
space.
25, 28, 25. It's enough for it to get low, but not sound like it's like a dramatic cutoff. And that I'll do the dramatic cutoff in the mastering. But the stems, like what we're talking about, the high pass, I'm talking about just the bass line.
Got you.
I'm talking about just the bass line. And it's like, you know what, too, using a Spectrum could do? It's like, well, you got an MPC, man. You're kind of spoiled, man, because you can see the EQ on the MPC.
Well,
right?
not on the MPC. That's the part about MPC that annoys me.
So like,
on the iPad, I use it on the iPad a lot.
So this is what I had to do with the Octatrack, because we don't have a Spectrum. You can't see it. You can't see it on the Octatrack. What you do is what you do is with the you throw a Spectrum on your DAW and you run a bass line through your Octatrack or through your MPC. You just run a note, a solid note, do a sine wave, and then you look at your Spectrum while you're controlling the cutoff filter, the high pass filter of your MPC, and it's like you see what number makes it 30 hertz on the Spectrum, what number on the high pass filter on the MPC equals 30 hertz on the Spectrum on the computer. Yeah, and then you can learn the numbers that coincide with the actual frequency numbers.
I got you.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
So that's what I had to do. I pulled up a Spectrum. I said,
Shit, I need to invest into this, actually. I need to sit down with this once.
Yeah, man, just do it. It'll take you an hour. And you just figure out, like, okay, the high pass filter on the MPC, when that says 30, it's really 28 hertz, or it's really 40 hertz in real life. So then you'll start being able to set it in the MPC. You can start setting, and like it might be a chart. Somebody might have a crossover chart online. Somebody might have a crossover chart online that tells you which each
might be. Yeah.
You know, because after I did it, I found a crossover chart for the Octatrack online where it told me that, like, okay, 33 on your high pass filter is actually 29 hertz in real life.
Yep.
You know, so I was like,
but it should be straightforward. I don't use that many, like the ones that I don't have the indicator for the hertz.
Yeah.
Those are just the program filters. And then never thought of this.
And look with the MPC that I got and the MPC that Will had, the MPC that I had and the MPC that Will got, all you got is the program filters. You know,
it's kind of crazy. You kind of locked into his own.
You know, it's like, you got.
Yeah, but that kind of dictates where my sound goes, and I don't mind that. You know, I'm willing to follow the path.
It's just honestly, Will, I think like my main problem currently with that is just that I do not know at
Yeah.
all what
Oh,
it is. Like,
what
you
it
That's
know,
is.
okay though. That's okay because you're a pusher. You push boundaries, and I love that about you, man. And Lean, if you dig into Bear's catalog, he's traditionally pushing boundaries, man. He's definitely
I gotta hear it. Yeah, I want to hear it, man. Send me some
pushing
stuff.
boundaries, man.
but
Send me some stuff, man.
I would like to be like, even with the tools that don't have a representation, I would like to use them faster in the proper
Yeah,
manner. Like,
yeah,
you know, just to know
yeah,
like there it
or
is.
or
That's the
just
sweet spot.
yeah, or just yeah. That's what I'm saying. Just learn a couple speech that you need to know. For me, it's 30 hertz or 28 hertz. I need
Mm-hmm.
to be able to roll off if I'm going to roll off, right? That's normally my roll off point, about 28 hertz. So if I got a kick drum coming through there, like it's going to be a centerpiece, I know I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
The bass is not going to be the centerpiece. 28 hertz is a good spot for me just
Mm-hmm.
to roll it off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's like I just pick a couple sweet spots and navigate around that because, like, you know, they're just like markers, so you know how far to move before it or after it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That would and I need this in like areas because like snare, it's always like a
yeah,
big guess for
yeah,
me,
big
like where
guess.
the
Li-
resonance in the
Yo,
snare sits.
yo, oh yeah, especially with that high frequency, like where is the resonance in that? So it's like you'll start figuring out, or I figured out. It's like I don't like my snare to hit after a certain like okay, I put a low pass filter on my snares too.
Mm-hmm.
Some
Okay.
things like I don't like to hit after a certain point. So it's like, you know, you just figure out what that point is. Like I know I don't want it to go above 11K
Mm-hmm.
or 12K, and I can just put it there and always know that I'm looking up a conversion chart right here.
Mhm.
MPC
Is-
cutoff filter.
Yo, side note, y'all niggas burning my phone up. I'm on some mobile shit, so my phone might cut off. I'm like,
Oh,
the phone's
Okay, it's all
overheating,
good.
so I might have to pop it on another device. So just
Okay, it's
FYI.
all good. It's all good. It's all good. Oh, let's see here. I found some. Oh no, this took me to oil filters.
conversion into oil,
Yeah,
the butter converter. But I
butter.
mean, I do get the point in like I don't even need a reference because it's literally just a couple of areas in the low pass, high pass.
Yeah,
It's
no, low
just
pass,
like
high pass.
where do you want
Where,
to start?
where you want to
I
start and where do
need
you want to
that
stop?
number. Mhm,
And
mhm.
that'll be, and you know, that's like all tools that you already have. You already have a spectrum analyzer. Like everybody has one of those. It's just a, you know, you go pop up, but like you don't even need a spectrum analyzer. You can just pop up an EQ and look at it. You know what I mean? You pop up
Yep.
yeah, graphic
I got a
EQ.
fab filter on my
Yeah.
iPad,
Oh
and
yeah.
that
Boom.
is
Yeah.
a beautiful.
You just run it through the fab filter, and you can see exactly, you
Mm-hmm.
know, where it's hitting, and
Mm-hmm.
then you start playing with the cutoff filter and see where it's not, where it's stopping at, or where it's starting at,
Mm-hmm.
and there you go. You write it down somewhere, or you take a picture of it with your phone, and you never forget it. You
God
feel me?
damn. God damn. Absolutely. Yeah,
A
thanks
little,
for
little,
that.
yeah, it's a little back door, man, a little hack. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To get around stuff without proper readouts. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why people be buying the oscilloscopes. Like that's why, so you can get a proper readout. All gear doesn't have a proper graphic readout on it.
I mean, I am cool with not having like a readout all the time.
Yeah,
On the in the mastering, it's interesting to see where the buildups happened. And
yeah.
that's actually like, you know, what I'm after is anticipating them. I
Mhm.
don't want to deal with them in the final, like, you know, what I call mastering is when I have the 2 track and I just bump the limiter and do the
Yeah,
EQing.
yeah,
And this
yeah.
is where the mistakes become obvious, or like the
Mhm.
problematic spots. And by that point, usually in this OPSP, it's done. It's like next time I know better, you
Yeah,
know, and I'm
yeah,
trying to
yeah.
find those,
Yeah,
like
not
I'm trying to anticipate them better.
yo, so like these numbers would be good for you just to have
Hmm.
like certain extremes,
Hmm.
certain maxims that you use. Like,
Hmm.
okay, like I
At
don't go
least
past here.
those.
Yeah, at least those. Like I don't go past here and I don't go beyond here. And it's like,
OP. I
like
need to
thi-
do this with the OP.
like this will just ensure certain things won't happen. Like if the mix goes wrong, it won't be this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and you just start like ticking stuff off the list. When I was doing stuff through my mixer, this mixer I got back here, it's
Mhm.
under this thing, it's a Mackie mixer. When I was using that mixer, I was like, yeah, doing like a 2-track out of the mixer, like giving myself just a
Mhm.
stereo track. And it's like
Right.
I would have to like really learn
Balance those things. and-
balance those things beforehand. And that's what kind of prompted me to say, okay, I kind of want to go with a tracked out version now, because
Mhm.
it's like it's some tracks that like I really got right in the composition, but I really messed up in the recording. It's like I'm being so many different people. I'm being the
Mhm.
composer, the performer, the recording engineer, the mixing engineer, and the master engineer. It's like,
Mhm.
let me mitigate this to help to make it easier on myself.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know,
I fully understand. I see. I see
know,
that.
it's like I'm writing the part right. It sounds beautiful, but I'm just not recording it right.
That's like the end. This is ultimately why the studios exist.
Yeah. Oh,
Because-
yeah. Exactly. Oh, you hit it right on the head. But since like I'm not about to be paying that money to go to the studio all the time, I could learn well enough. And technology, I think technology could bridge the gap of the learning curve that I'm missing.
Mhm. Mhm.
Technology's at a point where it's
Absolutely.
like I don't have to be a professional to get quality results now.
Absolutely. I agree full-heartedly that we are getting into the space where uh humans can be just them, that you're
Yeah,
not like, you don't have to go through like,
to be
I don't know, like
reliant,
mhm,
reliant on something like
maybe
that's
just
yo, man. You know, I love collaborating, but like, one of my biggest things is self-sufficiency artistically.
mhm.
So it's like it was always like
Yeah,
kind of hard for me to collaborate just because
no,
What
it
about
was
Tread? Aren't you?
no until let me finish until I got around
Sorry.
until I got around. That's why, like before, if you look at my catalog before on all my records, I only really collaborate with vocalists.
right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're
Like
right.
it's only
Yo,
vocalists.
yeah. Okay, can I interject real quick? Can
Yeah,
I just
yeah. Go
take
ahead.
that for Bear? I may be oversharing right now, but I mean, one time Liam was like, Liam's dope as fuck, and
Oh, stop it.
MCs are approaching Liam, and Liam was he said noting in his head like he's like, dude, I rap better than you. Why am I gonna have you over my track? So.
Mhm.
But Bear, don't say that nowhere else. It's,
Yeah,
I believe him though, because it's the thing. Like, you
yo,
can't have nobody come to you whacking than you are trying to get on your tracks and shit. So
man. You know,
I
it's
was like,
just
yo, that's the truth.
Mhm.
That's real
no.
shit.
There's no there's no regulatory commission with this music stuff. Like
Yeah.
everybody's just like, hey, let's work. Like, okay,
Exactly. It's free form. Yeah.
it's like free
But
form. It's like I don't know. People,
right.
I don't think there has to be any gatekeeping or chain of commands, but I think stuff should make sense artistically. Like whatever
Right.
in whatever medium you're working with. And I think that like people have to pay their dues artistically as well to a certain
Yeah.
degree.
And that's exactly what
Like,
you're saying. You're saying to motherfuckers like, you have to step up your game before you step to people that can like,
yeah,
provide
yeah.
more
And,
value than you.
and it's like what I had to realize too, because I used to not even used to, but I care about people. I don't want people to feel no type of way. Half the people that ask, they're
Hey, but it happens because you have to be tough love. Like
yeah, no,
you
this
can't like pussyfoot nobody that is whack.
this what I was gonna say.
So
Half the
go ahead.
people. Hello, can you hear me?
No,
Yeah.
you good. I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Half the people that ask you like that just randomly without any reference point, they don't expect you to say yes anyway. They're just asking to say, they're just throwing it out there. Like they don't even expect you to say
Are they
yes.
though?
Yeah, I think they
I
are.
think so. I think so. Well,
I think they are. I think it's a shot in the
it's like
dark.
a strategy, like,
Yeah.
because when assuming that most of the kids, or like let's say half of them, are in here because they think this is a nice business idea, and they learn from somebody that like
Right.
what you need to do is reach out to the people that you like to do a collab, and then
Exactly.
Exactly.
this
Not
is
a business
exactly what they
idea.
do.
They're just
It's
playing.
just it's
Not
They're
so
enough
playing.
many of
dedication.
them.
They're playing with
Thank you.
ratios. They're playing like ratios. Like
Exactly.
if I ask
Exactly.
if I ask 200 people, 8 people have to say yes. Out of those 8 people, one, it's like I don't want to play
Mhm.
ratios and numbers. I want the stuff that makes sense musically, not numerically. It doesn't have to make
Exactly.
sense statistically
Exactly.
for me. It has to make sense musically for me. And yeah, and that's about it. You feel me? But when I
Mhm.
got with Red, you know what? Red is what he does during the week, or what he was doing was he was a recording engineer. He has people to his crib to record, and he charges people to record. So when I work with Red, a lot of times it feels like I'm working with a recording engineer. So that's
Yeah,
why
those
it's
sessions
very,
are dope.
huh?
But no, those sessions are dope. I don't mean to interrupt, but those sessions are dope.
Yeah, those sessions are dope. So it's like it's a collaborator and a recording engineer. So it takes like a lot of ease off of me. Where where it's like he's kind of abreast to the things I'm abreast to. So it's like we don't have these logical gaps in certain areas. You know, it's like if he knows when the bass line is too loud, just like I know when and he'll reach
Mhm.
for the knob before I do. So it becomes like it makes a process easier and not more complex. And I feel like sometimes when I collaborate with people, it makes the process more
Exactly.
complex. It doesn't make it easier.
That's the golden rule to me,
I don't
at
think it should
least.
be
Like,
harder.
right?
Yeah, it
It
should be
should be
harder.
exactly. It should
It should
be
be easier.
naturally
Easier. Yeah, man.
super simple. Like
Super
just
simple.
Yes,
making music
yes.
together.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And it's like, think about it like this. If you're riding a bike by yourself, right? It's a certain level of effort that you have to exert with your legs. Now, if you put somebody on the handlebars, basically you're carrying them, it becomes a harder ride for you. But if you're riding
Right.
but if you're on a tandem bike where they also have a set of pedals back there, the ride becomes easier and you actually go
Mhm.
faster.
Mhm.
So that's what I
Right.
want to
Right.
be on. I want to be in
Yeah,
a
taking
a
turns. You're
tandem bike.
taking turns.
Taking turn. I want to be in a tandem bike situation where we're both pedaling.
And
We're both pedaling.
the taking turns part might be like somebody producing, somebody mixing. You might switch places, producing, mixing, taking places.
Exactly. So you can switch out and have some more freedom as to like what role you're going to play.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is as I get I get ear exhausted or sound exhausted
I do too,
from
really
like
quick.
chopping or whatever. So you have to take turns. You have to step away and go out and do what you got to do, have a
Yo,
conversation, and come back, and the shit be dope as a motherfucker.
that's partly
Mhm.
why. That's partly why I started doing the beat making process in 3 days because of ear fatigue. I get
Yeah,
fatigued,
you gotta step away. Exactly, you gotta step away. Ear
and
fatigue,
Mhm.
you gotta step away.
the night just gets kind of long. It gets really long, and I felt myself like up to like daybreak sometimes. Like it would be 6 a.m. and I'm up like trying to do everything in one sitting, and
But
it's like, yeah,
and
okay.
another thing to kind of dive deep into like the mind and
Mhm.
eye vision and spectrum of light, like sometimes like light and dark, like when you have like those ranges of vision of experience of like sleep and sleep the deprivation, it
Mm.
matters when you wake up and have a different experience. You have a different perspective of how you're approaching whatever you're doing.
Yeah. You definitely do come up with different perception of what you know, and you know what too, y'all like being able to, people would do that thing where it's like they make a beat and they listen to more and they be like, what the hell was that? Like that was, I
Yes.
thought,
Me,
All
me,
the time.
yes,
Come
me.
on.
yeah, you can.
Exactly,
I think
exactly.
I think this is a way. I think this is a way to conquer that, to beat that, because like if I'm making it in 3 parts, it's like it's checkpoints. So I could stop, rearrange, rethink at any given checkpoint.
Mhm.
Like what needs
Mhm.
to be done to make this better. You can keep on checking in because you're giving yourself those breaks, those
Mhm.
those moments of not doing it.
Super interesting. I think it's actually common idea that drives me because basically work in shorter
Increments. Yeah.
exactly over a span of a day in total,
Okay. Okay.
and it's
Yeah.
shifting to a half a day of making, and the other morning I will mix and
Yeah. Tweak it.
finish it.
Tweak it. And
And
I like that. I
simply
like
to keep
walking
up
away.
the pace.
Yeah, I
And
like that
this
walking away.
helps a lot. It helps a lot to recognize well, the blunt
Mistakes.
mistakes,
Yeah,
and the point with the like, oh no, this doesn't work. This melody doesn't work with this with the other shit at all.
yeah. Like
What
let
were
me.
you thinking?
Yeah, yeah. Like I could change it
That's
now.
so dope yesterday.
Yeah, man. Like give yourself opportunities to change it.
Yeah.
Hear it with new ears. It's like you're your own second opinion.
Mhm. Yeah,
You could be your
absolutely.
own second opinion. You come back a day later, you're a different person, you got a little bit more energy, got
Mhm.
morning ears, and you're like, okay, that was really out of tune. Maybe I should catch it now instead of being really mad later on.
Mhm.
If you're at that point. So like, man, I like, bro, I I really I really would push anybody to like put an 8 input interface on your Christmas like wish list now.
You know what's sitting on my wish list for a
What's
while
that?
now, and I'm just not, the new teenage joint, the TX6 joint.
The mixer. Yeah, man.
That
Yo,
bitch is,
can you USB track out on there?
yep.
Oh yeah, man.
Within
Something that will get you individual tracks in
the
your
point,
DAW.
like, and it records into the mixer.
Yeah,
You can stick the SD card into it and
yeah.
or USB card and record the 6 track tracked out. Maybe this
Oh,
will
tracked
be
out.
the way.
Yeah, and you'll get your 6 tracks in because listen, this Weiss mastering suite that I've been using by
Hmm.
Softtube, it
Hmm.
is amazing. It's called the Weiss Mastering Suite, WEISS. All the Europeans say Weiss, the Weiss
Hmm. Any
Mastering.
advice?
Right.
I'm in Germany right now. I
Okay,
know.
yeah,
I
yeah.
know
So
that you're right.
the Weiss Mastering Suite, man.
Mastering.
It
Yep.
is. So listen, they came out with a piece with a compressor many years ago in the mid 80s around the digital crossover when all the hardware was coming from analog to digital. Okay.
Hmm.
So the piece that this is emulating, or that one of these pieces is emulating, it was never analog. It's always been digital, and it's always cost the price of a small car. It's
Hmm.
always been $10,000. It's
Hmm.
called a DS1 MK3, and it's been the secret weapon of like mastering engineers for a lot of years. All
Hmm.
right, so don't think of this as a VST version of an analog. All it is, it's a 1-for-1 digital conversion of a digital piece. It's like this. It's like
Oh,
basically,
dope. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I
So
see. I hear
basically,
you. Yeah,
computers basically
yeah,
just caught up. It's Yeah, computers basically just
yeah.
caught up.
Excellent.
All right.
I need that on an iPad and then I'm good.
All right. So it's called the Vice Mastering Suite. It's kind of expensive, but they do deals on it all the time. Yo, it is
330. There is
the D
that's the price point.
the DS1 MK3. It is beautiful, man. So like that's what I've been using to level all my stuff.
Mastering processor.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Is it just compressor or is it several things? Is
It's
it like
several things. It's a de-esser, it's a compressor, it's a limiter. They also
a
have
So
limiter?
and
Gotcha.
it's an expander. But like they got a whole
Mm.
suite. They got a separate de-esser. They got 2 EQs. They got a maximizer. The suite is nice, man. I invested in myself and I got the suite
Hmm.
and I'm loving it. So now it's like all the pressure's on me. If it's a whack mix, it's my fault because I have the tools to make it better.
Yeah, the
Like
tools
I
are
have,
out there for
yeah, like
sure.
the tools are out there, and it's like I played with a lot of things. I played with the Fab Filter for a while. I played with Brainworks for a while. I was going back and forth between a lot of different plugins, and it was when I got to this white soft tube stuff, I found what I was looking for. Everything is really.
Were you working with the Ozone? How do you like Ozone?
I worked with Ozone a while ago. That was cool. Ozone, what ended up happening with the AI? Okay, when I was working with Ozone, it was 2019, and I don't
Okay,
think the AI was up to the point
not at
where
all. It
where
wasn't even there back then.
yeah. So the the correction and the little master that it would try to spit out,
Mhm,
I don't think it was good at all.
mhm.
It would basically
Okay.
just like crush all my mixes, or like however they wanted me to prep the mix before throwing it through the AI. I wasn't aware of. I didn't know. So I probably would be considerably better with Ozone right now than I was then. But
Mhm.
when I had it, I was no good with it.
Yeah, and
I
I
was
mean, it's whatever. At the end of the day, in the mastering chain is just the flavor. It's your flavor
yeah,
that you
it's
put
you
onto
know,
it.
you know, and like yeah, and the thing is like you got to come into it right. So that's what I've been spending.
Hmm.
It's a guy named on YouTube. His name is Mixing with Mike. I'll put a video up here so you guys can catch the link real quick. And that's who I listen to just to get when I'm driving in the car or when I'm,
Hmm.
just doing stuff around the house. I listen to Mixing with Mike. Where is it? Michael White, Fundamentals of Mixing. I'm about to send you guys the link. About to send you the link right now. And he's really good. A lot of pointers, and it's stuff that we all kind of should know, and that gets stuff that you forget and you can reinforce. All right, guys, I'm about to go catch dinner.
Dope. Thank you so much. This was
Man,
very, very
yeah,
inspiring.
I think we can do this. We can do this probably like twice a month, and I'll promote it better so it's more people in here and the conversation's more lively.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right.
Cats will
Sweet,
catch up on
sweet,
this.
Yeah, guys. So yeah, I'm out of here,
Amazing.
man.
sweet,
Peace, y'all.
Thank
One.
you.
sweet.
Peace,
Take your
peace.
time,
Enjoy your
brother.
evening.
All right, man. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.